All right, welcome back to part two of my Christmas special here. This is what I've been calling the last ride of Three Rivers, which was covers a trip I took on the Three Rivers shortly before its cancellation. I think in March 2005. This is part two of five. Going to be covering the approach to Chicago, at least part of the approach to Chicago. Um, And so yesterday we left off on the B&O main line in northern Indiana. For those of you who don't know, the Three Rivers was an alternative to the Capital Limited that was due to the declining status of the Fort Wayne line. The train was renamed the Three Rivers. It was then moved off the former Pennsylvania Railroad Conrail Fort Wayne line, which again was sort of a mainly DTC 60 maybe mile an hour, 70 mile an hour line. I moved over to the B&O main line via Akron, Fostoria, and a bunch of other places. Due to Amtrak some budget troubles and other issues in the 2005, it was canceled, along with I think a couple other routes, but I forget which ones those are. So anyway. Here we are at CSX Willow Creek interlocking. This is located with the junction of the former Conrail Porter branch, which is now also CSX. Which is interesting because is that Michigan? Yeah, this was used by CSX to reach its old Pierre Marquette route up to Battle Creek. Via CP-482 or Porter. But anyway, enough of that. Let's get on with this. So, like I said, at this point, this was a very, very dark, very nighttime train, especially in the winter. Yeah, it ran it was on the old Broadway Limited sort of timetable where you would leave New York in the afternoon and get to Chicago in the morning. I mean, not that uncommon from the Capital Limited, or not all that much different. I think this is Garrett sub or bar sub. Yeah, it's Garrett. This is the junction of the Garrett and the bar subs. Not sure what I would have been doing at this time. Oops. But I don't really pick up. What I was doing was not really because again, this is in the era of not a lot of pictures. So this was me not caring about the Darth Vader signals. So here, this is the crossing of the Porter branch. I actually had an opportunity on a different trip with the same person coming on the Capital Limited. Or was it Lakeshore? One of the two. To do a detour due to a derailment over the Porter branch. So I've done both directions of this diamond. Be interesting to see if this, I doubt it ever will, but it'll be interesting to see if they ever get passenger service back on that line. Some of the interesting bits about the Three Rivers was when you would pass, it had a lot of CSX deadhead crews on it. They'd usually pick them up at some place like Fostoria and or drop them off at Willard Yard. And they would have tickets and everything. It was sort of cute. Oopsies. Let's see if we go here. Clark. Oops, that's the wrong one. Gotta go back down to the Garrett. Again, it's all super spiffy, just like you would see with the ducted heaters and whatnot. Another interesting thing is that how when you feel like you're going across Chicago, either via the Fort Wayne or the other stuff, um, it's easy to forget how north these start going. All this because it's going to Chicago, but you think that you're all the way like if you had to draw on a map like how the B&O gets to Chicago, I think most people would draw it like down there and then make a strong right. But they've even though they're coming through, I guess B&O's already up at Akron, but it feels like you're more south than you are, especially on the Fort Wayne. But they just start making a beeline to Chicago, all converging in this small area. Really converging in this, like, this little bit of, like, 10 miles in from the lakeshore. And more new signals at Willow Creek. Will be interesting to see if we ever go through another generation of re-signaling. Probably something with cabs or who knows. Oops. Oh wait, this isn't. It's a subdivision border, so I always remove the sub then. So at this point, I'm doing the full vestibule thing. Oh, here we go. So now we're approaching the swing onto the Chicago line near the Indiana Harbor, and I'll show you on the map in a second. Here we have, these are some old school GEs. Looks like I want to say 78 something, 78 like 54. Probably want to check that at some point. Yeah, see. Nah, that's showing a wide nose. There's a current. Looks like it's 7,000 something, but I don't know where the it's clearly a C40-8 non, whatever. I just not sure where those would have been. It was in the 7,200. Whatever. Gotta give up at some point. This is in Gary. Gary was the location of the famous Curtis full complete CPL. Would have been somewhere in the Bar subdivision. So East Curtis is likely where it would have been. So that one has, I'm not sure where the slow speed track would have been, but it had all 6 orbitals, one of the ones in there. So you can see why it has medium approach medium. Oh, because Pine Junction and Clark Junction are a short signal distance 0.4 miles. So you would have had approach slow. If there was a stop at Clark Junction, you probably would have had slow approach for a diverging move there or something like that. Speaking of, this is Pine Junction. And Pine Junction, which I have pulled up on another map. I did have pulled up. There's Pine Junction right there. And this is where you have the whole thing of the CSX running right next to the Chicago line, or the B&O CT. And this is where you also at one point had the Fort Wayne line in the mix here at the old Clark Junction. And, what I like to call the Three Rivers Connector would just sort of keep going, junction in with the Chicago line, and then here you are at CP-501 in Gary. And then you're onto the Chicago Raceway. No, or not the Chicago, but you're into that final, 3 and 4 track segment going all the way into Chicago Terminal. So we are making our initial turn from the wrong rail track. Something. Looks like track 2. To head over to finally leave CSX. And here we go. There's the Canadian National, now GTW line. Pretty sure that I was all ready to go because of heading out on the CP-501. The interesting thing, I bet this got a diverging move. Would have been interesting if it, even though it's clearly a straight shot. Let me just wish everybody another, if anyone got here, Merry Christmas. It's Christmas today. Well, the question is, even if we have cab sidling, is it ever going to be reflected in the signaling, like it is a little bit on Conrail or other stuff? Now, here we have a really interesting photo. It is the Lakeshore waiting for us to clear up. So we got routed ahead of the Lakeshore. I guess we were running on time. Something that people it's easy to forget is that the Phase 5 paint scheme for Amtrak P42s used to be slightly different. They had this blue and red little mini stripe, and that blue stripe they altered it so that striping isn't there anymore. I don't know why or what the deal is. Also note the Phase 4 Heritage baggage car. So here we have 156 and 161 here. But no one ever talks about the lack of that little stripe. And I'm not sure whatever. I mean, I can pull up another picture here. Sure, I have one available. Here we go. This is one from this year. Try to figure out what's missing. Just got to get a good picture of a P-42, which I didn't think would be that hard. Where is that? Thought I saw one somewhere. One second, I need to make a clearer shot of a P-42. Nah, it's not gonna be it. Gosh, it's like, how hard is it to find a P-42 photo? Here we go. Should find one here. Yeah, here's a new. Yeah, see that the blue stripe is gone, and it's just been replaced by a really narrow thin red stripe, which is used for the grade crossing safety. So just compare this brand new thing of a P-42 with the original one where you had the blue and the red. So I don't know why people don't mention that. That's almost certainly the Lakeshore, because I can see another single level car right behind it. Oh, here we go. Yeah, there's your dining car, single level diner. Looks like there are two. Oh no, I think that might be another diner or an Am Cafe. I can't tell. So another interesting thing that you don't see anymore is that back when railroads did have unique signaling, it was customary that when you had a mixed railroad interlocking, that the inbound routes would have would have their own railroad signals. So here the B&O connection at CP-501 gets a CPL mast, even though it was a Conrail interlocking. And I even have the interlocking sheet pulled up. So there we are at the 8W signal, which is B&O, because it's the B&O connection. Even though and this is also how the B&O gets, they route through CP-501. They have a industrial track on the north side of the Chicago line, west of Hick. The Fort Wayne line connection has now been cut as well, so that doesn't even hook anymore. They've removed the switch. But anyway, here we have the 8W signal, and our two Amtrak P-42s. This is the number 13 switch reverse at CP-501. You can see the bracket mass right there for the Fort Wayne line. I don't know at what point that got cut. Although I think everything was mainly unchanged up until the point where NS resignaled it, and then a lot of stuff that was sort of like ghost switches. Then he had a lot of ghost tracks that just got removed at that point. I would hit that. So I say this was 13 switch. This was a number 20, so in this theory, this should be limited speed. And the Penn Central beam type mast at CP-501. Unfortunately, NS was saving these because they're sort of chonky and OSHA compliant. But between the point when they re-signaled Hick and then they re-signaled the rest of the Chicago line, they pretty much went about just uh, just going to dump these. They would just replace it. I have a bunch of pictures. Oh, hey, we got a clear signal on the 2E. This is General Railway signal style. Yeah, these are all GRS. They use the GRS signaling style, which has odd switches, even signals, but it's all done by it's incrementing. So you have a 2, 4, 6, 8 signal and a 1, 2, 1, 5, 3, 5, 7 switches. This is somewhere. Here we have a BNSF run through coal train, likely Powder River. Powder River used to be, for those of you who don't know what that is, it was a popular coal field until we stopped using coal. Known for its low sulfur coal that was big between the, when you crack down on acid rain, but before the costs associated with coal pretty much made it infeasible. So anyway, BNSF. This is a run through with BNSF power on NS, waiting for us to clear up at Hick. Sure that these units are totally used to snow. Yeah, it's gonna be a short. It's gonna be a short session today. Not that short, but it should be done within an hour. Because I know it's Christmas and people probably have better things to do. Or you don't, at which point I apologize. I have pretty good documentation of the whole Chicago Raceway. As it became clear how resignaling was progressing, I made a point to ride it a lot. With my yearly, my usual, I went to Chicago most years for a variety of reasons. This is probably one of my better photos of. I would always go in the summer, and it was usually just, we usually wouldn't get a lot. So for this direction, I would always get a lot of backlighting. So here we have the wonderful CP-502 diamonds. Now I have these up. Signaling. Yeah, I'm just going to redo all these. Yeah, more often than not when I'm coming into Chicago in the summer. No, wait, I do winter too in this area. More often than not, you get backlighting, just catastrophic backlighting. In the winter, the sun just shines directly into the back of the train. We have a nice. Not going to be able to zoom in on that very well because my limited bits or my limited resolution. There we go. But that should be good enough. Yeah, it's a shame that NS didn't save the CP-502 and 501 signal bridges. I mean, there's nothing; those weren't going anywhere. They weren't really unsafe, and they could easily, just like this one is still there because there was nothing that stopped them from mounting on the new Darth Vader heads in parallel and testing them. I mean, a lot of times they have subcontractors and who do all these projects, including the management. And what you get is their fee is usually some percentage of like the total sales. So they'll go and they'll add on all this extras, as consultants or whatever, and they're going to show, they're going to show the railroad, hey, look, we did all the stuff you're supposed to do, and look, we're not it's we got, they're going to say that they're doing all the right stuff, but part of it is they never needed to, they can indirectly profit from by adding on more things that they're replacing. And the railroads don't quite really know what is or isn't exactly necessary. Okay, so we have Hick Tower. This is when Hick was still open and in its full configuration. So here we're coming in on, here we have the westbound signal bridge and the Y switch. This is an earlier diagram from '93, and this third track was removed because at some point they realized that they don't need the extra capacity. So here we have the 15B switch. I'm not sure if that's reverse or normal. It could be either. I'm just going to probably just say it's 15B. Oops. Hick Tower. Still there is a bridge operator's cabin. Also controls the EJE bridge. Let's see how I did this in 2005. Thing a bit, get rid of some red. Got purple syndrome going on here. Yeah, I kept it mainly the same, just bad resolution. Whatever was in Hick, there's an inside video from it. There's not a lot in there. There's the bridge controls are right there, and then there was a NX, like a very modern 80s style NX pattern, and most of that whole upper operator cabin was just empty. You can see the video on YouTube. And here we have the other quad draws on the Chicago line. This time just the Bascule edition. These look pretty level. The drawbridges are all still there just because they're too much, they just have them locked up in the up. And by this point, you can see this third, the controlled siding has already been cut. So it used to have 3 tracks through, and at some point they're like, we don't have a lot of movements on this. We're maintaining a whole other drawbridge, probably for infrequent movements. That's going to be the 3 switch. See, like I said, we got you had ghost signals here for a while. Um, this is just what happens when you want to efficiently make cuts to an interlocking that has, that would otherwise require modifying relay or mechanical logic. Sometimes it's easier to just cut the track, and then you make something permanently stop, so that the way that the existing interlocking will always never display a route over it. They have a lot of ways to do this. You can pull out fuses, but it's usually very easy from an interlocking point of view to lock out stuff without having to formally go and modify the interlocking in a way that would require, testing and regulatory changes. Interlockings have all sorts of abilities to detect problems, so you can just naturally use them. This signal bridge also vanished fairly recently. Recently, as in this signal bridge got replaced before the general resignaling. I guess all tracks are bidirectional here. The D boards for that had to do with the delay and block. They were running cab cars on the Michigan line, so some of these got outfitted with the delay and block rule distance signal markers. This would be the 504 signal bridge. Very, very robust. You even got some maintainers out there. Also note this is the B&O line I was talking about earlier. It's unsignaled, except to have some approach. Those are CSX style approach, approach interlocking signals. No, either approach restricting or approach normal, which I guess in CSX would be something different. Not the one I want. Here it is. Pretty sure this year I stopped. Yeah, this is the type of backlighting you get on the Chicago line most winters. Just absolutely terrible. I don't know the last time I got photos going all the way in. Might have been, for all I know, it was 2010. Here it is. No, that's not it. Yeah, that's probably it. Oh, it was still there in 2010. Huh. Funny how that 5041E signal is still approach, even though we're pulling out on the same one. And here, yeah. This is the old CP-505, which was in service on... it was in service on every track, but it only had an interlocking appliance. See, it only had an interlocking appliance on tracks. Yeesh. Tough to tell what's what. Track 2 and the controlled siding. I'm sure there used to be more here. In fact, there's stuff like why like it looks like they also control part of the B&O CT. Again, that's puzzling. Yeah, the chassis, the old B&O CT is signaled there. So maybe that just had to be, I don't know. Maintenance, it's split between B&O CT. Yeah, I don't know what's up with that. Yeah, again, that is I don't know. Every answering a question in the chat here. Um, every interlocking has has a local control panel somewhere. In the case of Hick, I seriously doubt it there's one there's still one in the tower. Because it was a complete resignal job, and they likely didn't want. I seem to doubt it. I've never seen it. I can't rule anything out. But whatever panel was in there would have been replaced, and they likely would have put a new local control panel in the thing. But there might have been an. I think the question needs to become is I have to go back and look when Hick closed versus when Hick got resignaled. If there's a gap, then there's still a panel in there because if they'd resignaled it and the tower didn't close until sometime later, which might be the case, then yes, there would be a panel still in the office there. So you can go back on my blog and you can see when Hick closed versus when Hick got resignaled. So here we have the CP-501. Okay, sorry. I went to go check there for something for you guys. I want to go see what that deal was with CP-505. Like, why was it bleeding over onto the B&O CT? So here you have our former it's been removed at this point. Yeah, I'm guessing they just had some sort of weird connection there. Because there's the there's the former switch that's now manual. CP-505 on the Conrail side's been completely removed, and here in the Dearborn diagram, yeah, there must have been a connection for purposes. Who knows? That's a brand new Union Pacific SD70M right there. Super pretty. Can't quite see the number. I can try to check the range. Okay, just gonna come on. What's going on here? It's like all the paint schemes. Here we go. What the? SD70Ms. So it looks like it could be anything between 3,700 and 5,200. Yikes. So I'm just going to call it a 4,000. Well, wait, hold on. I can go back and see when those are built. Because they tell you. This would have been brand new. So this is probably near the end of the line here. So yeah, these are built in 2004 for some strange reason. Maybe one of these was wrong. So anyway, it looks like a 50. I'm just going to call it like a 5100 series SD70M. That's clearly brand new. This is the other side of CP-505. It's an odd little marker light they got there. Oh, that would have been for medium clear indications. Or medium approach. New York Central did not go in for the flashing red over flashing yellow, so they would have had to have had three lamp masts. Norfolk, the old N&W the part of Norfolk Southern still has to do that. And nickel plate. This would be the 4E signal. This is clearly a New York Central. It looks like a New York Central original. Or the bottom head looks like a G head, and the other ones are probably Conrail vintage. Straight. Thank you all again for joining me on this Christmas night. I normally would apologize for pulling you away from your families, but I feel that a lot of you aren't doing that. I had a brief outdoor quiche session, or a small brunch with some of my family, but that was the extent of what I had. So this is the 4E. Not to fear, I did make a Christmas dinner with my housemate the other day, and I brought a to-go box with me, so that was my Christmas dinner. I need to put out some, I need to put out more advertisements for my, whatchamacallit, my trip on Monday. I'm getting close. My SEPTA Midwinter walking tour of downtown Philly. The 20th year of doing a SEPTA Midwinter thing. Anyone who is a student, has a PTO to burn, is unemployed, has a no-show job, is exiting the Trump administration, whatever your excuse is to not be at work on Monday, come out to Philly and enjoy the a narrated walking tour of interesting center silly rail stuff from someone who not from a non-acclaimed historian. It's sort of more of an exploration of, hey, let's go around and look at things. Narrated as in, it's like Randy Newman singing about what he sees. Anyway, that curve you saw there, if I can pull it up, this is where for reasons unknown, the Chicago line shifts from the New York Central right of way to the Pennsylvania Railroad right of way, and there's the PR. They built bougie housing on it, but you can still sort of see there's a little bit of a line there going up. Follow the cursor. There's this line up. There's some bougie housing. There's some athletic fields, and then you're back onto the thing. Now, today it's all been resignaled, but there, on one side of CP-506, you would have New York Central Conrail style signals. On the other side of CP-506, you would have these PR position lights. It's like there was some sort of Berlin, it's like some sort of Cold War agreement going on here back during the Penn Central or Conrail days, where you had, rival factions, and they would only agree to, this is part of the treaty, that one side gets its signals and the other side gets the other one. It's wacky, but really cool. Yeah, this is always my favorite part of these Chicago trips. You start getting the cool stuff at Hick, and then you're on to the PRR, and it was just super fun all the way in. Here we have the General Hammond Whiting Station. Even by this point in time, no one used it. I don't even know what trains stop here today. Originally intended as the Metro Park of the Chicago area, I think Gary just went downhill. Reed Bryan about future signals. I have no idea what they might be. Or, are we going to see a change to LED searchlights maybe? Because right now everything is these goddamn Darth Vader things with the safe train scallops. But, I don't know what they're going to have. It'll be interesting to see if they find something cooler to use in the future. I love the snowdrifts all over here at the General Hammond Station. Usually any train going through here would if they if they had no passengers, it was always on long distances. This was always an R stop or a D stop. So if they had no one getting on or getting off via the tickets, they just didn't stop. And I can't remember how I can't really ever remember being on trains that stopped. And I suspect that this station, when it was built back in the 70s, was these are pretty prospering. That's clear. That's an old school Amshack. For those of you who don't know what Amshacks are, back when Amtrak formed in its first decade, stations were there was a lot of more hope for Amtrak back in the original 70s. And I want to say there was investment, but it was kind of like fake investment. They would put in new stations, but they were really, really cheesy. I mean, a lot of stuff in the 70s was cheesy. So, the Hammond station was clearly there to serve the Chicago suburbs and this general area, even though it's mostly an oil refinery and a steel mill. But I have a feeling that before deindustrialization, that this area was a little more middle class and might have generated more traffic. But it was intended as like a Metro Park or a New Carrollton for the Chicago area. Like Naperville is right now. A lot of people use Naperville. Hammond, Indiana is no Naperville. Here we have CP-507. I always loved this because of its sort of brand new PR cantilever, which replaced this bracket, a very, very, very rare PRR position light bracket mast that was installed. I don't have dates on this interlocking, but this interlocking was installed to support the General Hammond station. That would be the one switch, I'm assuming, yeah. 1B. Interestingly enough, when NS went through there, they got federal funding to upgrade a lot of that stuff. So it's not like when they re-signaled, they actually put in a lot of new things. A bunch of unsignaled or 250 or ABS single direction tracks got bidirectional. Conrail always had that thing where you could diverge over a medium approach medium or or approach slow. As long as the signal before that was neither approach medium or approach slow. So NS just put in the appropriate medium approach mediums and medium approach slows, because you couldn't do medium approach medium on a position light. Oh, a lot of fun stuff here. Here we have of course, the eastbound signal bridge for CP-507. Just adjusting a little bit. There we go. Never really saw much special stuff pulled up when we rolled through here. Just our own track. Oh, I should check if there's any additional questions. No, not yet. All right. Yeah, see, stuff's slowly starting to change. I think that this one is still there. It was early enough. But NS had already pulled out whatever was in and around here, at the milepost 508 signals. And for the record, this is 508 miles from Buffalo, New York. So this is early this is, I want to say early NS. It's early post Conrail takeover. The first signal NS before they went to Darth Vader. NS had a couple years where they were just putting up these Southern style traffic light, no hood. That only went about it, and that was enough time for them to re-signal. That was like 2000, maybe like end of '99 and 2000, maybe 2001. .508 1E, 2E. What's that other one? Oh, there's a also the far track here is only signal direction. If it's even if it's signaled beyond this, you can see you only have 2 signals in this direction and 1 in the other ones. And we're at the famous quad draws of CP-509. I think there is an official name for this. One second. I can pull it up on the... Oh, great. There it is. I think we're in Illinois right now. River Branch Junction. Come on, there we go. The tower was between the two, the quad draws on the PRR side. So we had 2 central bridges, 2 PRR bridges, and a B&O CT, with it had its own little tower structure. That's still there. I saw some dudes doing an urban exploration of that tower, the B&O CT tower building, which is right there, but they didn't go inside, or they didn't go up to the operator floor, or they didn't do any video of it. Huh, looks like they totally removed part of the bridge there, so which was very, very disappointing. This might have been my first good pictures of this whole corridor. Another interesting thing about this whole interlocking, if you look here at the chart, there's no through route. Sorry, the only track that has a straight has a clear route through, or whatever. No, except for track 4 west, which is coming out of the yard or something. There, it can get a clear. But main tracks 1 and 2 both take diverging routes through the lift bridge. I don't know. That's why would you design it that way? And NS did not really change that when they re-signaled the bridge. So straight ahead, these just go into a yard. These are the main tracks there. So this is see, the switch machine's changed here. So the new one is 9. So this is switch 9 and some MOW guys. Oh, sorry, it's 2 switches there. Switch 9 and switch 11. Oops. Sorry. Here we have the inside of the one remaining working drawbridge. This is over the, like Chicago, some sort of ship canal. For anyone who was wondering, this shows how the Pennsy and the Central came into Chicago right now. When I say right next to each other, like, you know, they were literally right next to each other, like in the same confluence of drawbridges. And this is where they would race, you know, back in the day, because, like, you know, the stuff was made of wood, but they let them go as fast as they wanted. That's the Chicago Skyway over there. One of the drawbridges was removed, so there's two of the central ones are locked in the up position. This one active one, and then the one next to it was removed. I bet they removed it and then realized it was such a pain in the butt that they just left the other two standing. And of course, the tower would have been on the far side. So we got next. Yeah, here's our picture of the quad draws. Now down to 3, but I'm still gonna call them the quad draws. Notice they're all skewed too. That they're not leveled on. The river crosses at an angle, so all the bridges are skewed. Really neat. There's some sort of control booth there, I think, for the drawbridge is right there where the old Branch River tower used to be. The tower was right in there. Yeah, and there's the new signal bridge. Anyway, that's the new stuff. Trying to figure out how to cut this. All right. And of course, like I pointed out earlier, the eastbound signal bridge, none of those, well, it looks like one of the tracks has is able to display clear. So I guess in theory track 3 could go through, but according to the interlocking diagram, it doesn't have it. So I guess I was slightly wrong. That whatever that track 3 is could go through, but let's see if I go back to CP-507. Yeah, there is no, like, track 3 just rolls into a yard. So, yeah, I'm not sure what that's about. Yep, did not get to make my Chicago trip this year, unfortunately, but I have no idea what the state of Metro would have been in anyway. There's not a lot of point to do stuff there without the express runs for the videos. I'm going to brighten this up just a little bit more. Well, with my limited amount of photos, I did a pretty good job. Yeah, like that camera I had was pretty bulletproof in taking stuff. The resolution wasn't great, but it did tend to, not. The stuff I have today has way more blur problems than back then, but it might just be an artifact of the lack of resolution. Here we have the 510 intermediate signal. All right, I'm putting too much. I got too much on the side there. Don't need trucks and junk. There we go. And in Conrail practice, remember only interlockings had the red lenses. .510 1. Here we have CP-513 being ruined by a COFC double stack. There we go. And this CP-513 still there. It was it's sort of a baffling trailing point crossover. I guess it's again get stuff into some sort of intermodal yard. This would have been the this is the 3A switch. The other half of it's blocked by the train. Getting down to the end of this session today. Yeah, I'm gonna probably hold this at just the hour today. I was expecting to do a shorter session, so that's why I was going off on more tangents earlier. Here we just have the other end of CP-513. These are all, by the way, if you know your PR signal bridges, anytime you see this solid end, that indicates it's something either World War II or post-war. 40, I don't know, at some point they started doing that in the 40s, definitely by whenever they built MG, which I think was 44. But that's the last design iteration of the PR signal bridge. And here we have something interesting. This is what it's clearly one of the last parts of the NS, the initial order of NS C40-9Ws, which to this day, I mean, kind of, with asterisk to this day, make up the core of the NS fleet. NS was always, while CSX got a similar number of AC 4400s, NS was always more in favor of the DC. They were cheaper at the time. And they might have had some advantage in the type of coal hauling that they did. And this is the 9947. They went up to pretty much 9999. Well, we can check the NS roster. Not a lot still there. So they went up to 9978. And at some point, I think that they got a bunch more, but they got some Evos after that, and didn't know what to do with them, and they didn't buy enough for more for a while. But I'm not sure. I don't have the years on this because they made a seamless transition from the high eights, was like the dash eights, and they went from a seamless transition to the nines, and they got like some hundreds of those. So this was very near the end of production. This was 99. The last one was 9978, and here we can see 9947 under delivery. They were delivered from Erie without paint, and they would run them in service for a bit, and eventually they'd make their way to Altoona or someplace, and they get the paint applied. I guess it was a cost cutting measure. He's waiting at CP-ENGLEWOOD for us to head by. I am noticing that these photos have more grain than usual, just probably because of the low light. Anyway, I'm saying that they are still the mainstay of the NS fleet to this day, with an asterisk, because they are being rebuilt into the AC-44C6Ms. So you can think of them consider them as you will. That giant batch of 600 locomotives is going to be around for some time. And finishing this shot of NS's 9187's cab. So that's it for today. I'm going to check questions in just a second. Tomorrow we're going to finish up going into Chicago. We're going to do stuff in Chicago. I blew most of my photos rolling into Chicago. And this comes with a backup move. That's something else that would happen occasionally. And then went out to Aurora, and then more Chicago, and then out of Chicago already. So, I did not stay in Chicago. Like, we literally rolled in, went to Aurora, got back to Union Station, maybe had one of those deep dish pizzas, and we're on the Capital Limited that day. I guess I've since been burned by missing a connection in Chicago, but the Cap left pretty late. So, that's just stuff I did back then. All right, let's see here. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, hey, how was my Christmas? Okay, so yeah, regarding new signal types, like I said, yeah, I don't think I don't see them changing a lot of aspects and stuff around. But I think the one way they could go with new hardware is at some point if they adapt LEDs, like full-on LED searchlights. I've heard that they were always like, I don't know, they always seem to have issues with them. But Europe seems to be using them fine. UK likes them at least. There've been some test runs on them. I don't know what the issue with them is, but in theory that should be way cheaper than what they're using now. My Christmas is fine. My mom was diagnosed with COVID at her care facility, but she is out of the hospital now. I saw her today. She wasn't looking great, but they said she's stable and should be fine. Let's see. I know UK. I sort of know Netherlands, and Netherlands is a root system. I think they use a lot of searchlights there, and Italy too. So anyway, tomorrow is going to be. Let's see how many I have. Oh yeah, no, that's a thing they have in Germany. Yeah. They like that in Europe, with having people read stuff. I don't know. I don't really see that going on here. It seems to be superfluous, and it's hard to really get with the way that you have freights. It's sort of hard to see what it requires. When you're doing passenger stuff, you don't really need to act on the signal until you write up on it. But here in this country, they tend to like to have freights give them as much warning as they can. I don't know about, you might be thinking of the unilenses with the fiber optics, which weren't they weren't LED. They used very, very special and expensive bulbs and have all sorts of maintenance issues. They're still used where they have to be used for clearance, but again, I don't know why CSX still uses them. They put them in new, but everyone says that they're a maintenance headache. And again, I don't know why they aren't going with LED searchlights. So, all right, that's my commentary for the day. I'm going to let you guys all go. Thank you so much. I'll be on tomorrow, probably again at 9, or I'm probably going to keep this at 9 just because he's run late. So if I have 94 photos, I'm going to I don't know how I got away with doing a half cut today. Yeah, anyway, I'm going to need to do a full set. So, all right, I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you very much. Merry Christmas. Stay safe. And hope to see you next time. And also remember, if you're in the Philly area, my midwinter trip is on Monday. Starts at 9:30 with a little bit of wiggle room at the West Concourse of the Market East Station, sometimes called Jefferson. The West Concourse has no one in it. That's why I'm having people sort of gather there, just so you can hang out. I know it's inside, but no one ever uses it. But if you don't want to go in, you can hang out on Filbert Street in front of Reading Terminal, the entrance to Reading Terminal Market. I don't know how many of you are in the Philly area, but just FYI. All right. Have a great day and stay safe and Merry Christmas.